Self-filming whitetail deer hunts on public land, just absolutely the next level.
These trails through here are just insane, dude. It's so thick. Meh. Yes. Yes.
Well, self-filming whitetail deer hunts is incredibly difficult. Self-filming whitetail deer hunts on public land, just absolutely the next level. Incredibly difficult undertaking, and very few people are up for the challenge. Tim Evans is one of those guys.
Me. Me.
Well, I met Tim years ago at the Illinois Deer Classic, just a great guy, and I knew in a matter of just a few minutes he was going to be a great friend of mine for a long time. One of those guys who's just super, super dedicated, super passionate about hunting deer, loves filming, loves being out there, hunts with a bow, hunts with a gun, just, loves chasing deer and putting in the time. It's been really, really enjoyable watching him go through the ranks and getting into filming all the way now to providing professional level hunts, and just a great guy, great all-around hunter.
It's Sunday morning, November the 6th. It's about 6:40. I was up here getting stuff ready, and I could hear something coming through the woods. I could hear sound like antlers hitting trees and stuff like that. Sure enough, I had a nice buck come through. I had him at about 25 yards, and he just never would give me a shot. And he kind of just stood around smelling right, walked in. He didn't get boogered, he just walked off.
This property Tim is hunting on is dense timber. It's a relatively small patch of timber that's surrounded by a ton of ag. And in the mornings, the deer are all coming off that ag and coming back into this tight timber. It reminds me of a property I had years ago that all the deer, if you could possibly sneak your way into the center of this timber, all the deer would be coming back through it, and through the course of the morning, just rutting and pre-rutting in those areas. Really, really great setup, and Tim's put in the time to map out a really, really great access to get into this deep timber and be ready when those whitetails come off of that ag. He was looking at the property and tried to understand, how am I going to get to where I want to be to film and hunt on this property when I can't do it without blowing up all the deer. So he really took a look at the area, knew a guy that had a property that kind of connected to this public, and got permission through that little small property to get into the area that he needs to get to without blowing up all the deer while he's doing it. When you've got a big patch of timber like this with ag around it or food source around it, the deer are going to be out in that food source in the morning, working their way back into that timber. And if you can sneak in and get in and be waiting in the areas that they naturally want to bed, you've got a great advantage, and they're really not going to know you're doing it. And that's what Tim's taking advantage of, is being where those deer want to be in an hour or two.
You look around here, dude, it is so thick back in here. These trails through here are just insane. As you can look in here, dude, it's so thick. I mean, I started to say earlier how it's a blessing and a curse. A little bitty rub right in there. It's a blessing because these deer like this. There's does bedded all throughout here, but it is so thick. It's hard to see them. I mean, like, you're literally on pins and needles the whole time. Probably 5 or 6 years ago, I thought I started hunting back here. And I've known it's a good area. I could just never find the right tree. And I'm telling you right now, I said at the beginning of this year I'd kill a buck out of this tree. I got the sun behind me. There's no way they'd ever see it. Right up there is my stand. My stand's right there.
Well, once Tim honed in on the general area that he wanted to be, he knows there's a lot of deer bedding in this area. It's really, really thick honeysuckle, a lot of younger trees, obviously been logged at some point, and it's all in regrowth. And he knows, hey, this is a fantastic area. If I can get in here, I'm hidden. I can call in here effectively because of the honeysuckle. Tim's super excited about this property because he's getting great trail camera pictures of some, beautiful mature bucks, any one of which he would be very, very happy to harvest. And the cameras are really proving, hey, these bucks are in here with regularity. They're messing with the does. They're going by both ways. I mean, they're in this bedding area, and he's on top of them. Well, Tim's had dealings with several bucks in this area, but there's one in particular that he's been paying attention to. He had him the same buck the year before in the same spot, almost exact same time of year, right around November 4th or 5th. This buck is in this area, on these does, pre-rutting in this area, moving into rut, heavy bedding cover, and Tim feels like he's got a great chance at maybe seeing this buck and maybe putting an arrow in him. Well, Tim's been filming for a lot of years, and he's continually improved his technique on this, and this is something he's doing that's incredibly difficult. He's self-filming a bow hunt, which is one of the toughest things you'll ever try and do. The camera that Tim has behind him is like an action camera with a wide view. It's right behind him and kind of facing down a little bit, so it's gonna catch him and most likely any action that he's got going on underneath him, and he can reach up and turn it if he needs to. And then he's got his main camera, which obviously he's gonna be zooming in and trying to get the best shot he can of that buck. And then he's got a third camera on his bow facing backwards. Again, that's a small action camera with a wide view, so it's gonna catch him and all the movement that's going on in the stand and everything, and anything that happens behind him. He's worked on these techniques for years and trying to understand how to film this in a way that people understand what they're watching once they see it. And Tim's doing a great job at it.
Well, good morning from the Deer Woods. It's about 6:45. Today is Monday, November the 7th. It actually feels like deer season right now. It's chilly. Winds switched out of the northeast. Already had a buck go cruising by a little bit ago. Over to my left, about 70 yards. The movement starts picking up here soon, so it's a beautiful morning.
We're moving into the pre-rut, heavy pre-rut, and almost into the rut. Tim knows it, so he's starting to get really aggressive, starting to call some. He's in an area that he knows, hey, these deer come in bed, a big group of does comes in and beds in here. The bucks are gonna be trolling and chasing them around a little bit, and he's starting to see evidence of that. He's getting footage of some of the deer that he's not choosing to shoot, but are beautiful bucks. These bucks are all realizing, hey, there's a lot of does in this area, and I'm gonna stay in this area and keep working on these does as they come into heat, and Tim's right on top of them.
If I can see him back there, we'll see what happens. Maybe that big something will happen. Maybe another buck will come in on that trail right here. I don't know if I'll have a shot though, but I don't know. Glad something's moving.
So Tim's trying to figure out, did he make a mistake by passing this double main beam buck? Kind of kicking himself, the season's winding on, you start really being filled with doubt. I don't know, it is hard to look at that buck and say that is not a shooter. He is a beautiful double main beam buck, and all of a sudden realizes, what is that sound? He's hearing a buck fight like 100 yards away.
There's some bucks going on down here. Guess I can grunt. It's close.
And that subsides, and he realizes, hey, this is an opportunity for me. I might be able to use my extinguisher to call one of these bucks over. So he grabs the call, hits his call real quick, and now he's trying to figure out, do either one of them hear it?
Me. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yes. Yes. We just smoked a big 10. We just smoked a big 10, baby. Man, I smoked him. I don't know what's the big 10 I got on camera. We got a deer down. We're gonna go check him out. Booyah, we're on the board, baby. Oh, yeah. There he is, baby. Freaking stud, 10 pointer. This dude's ears are all tore up, man. This one over here is all cut, and I had pictures of this buck last year. Same area, and he put on quite a bit of size. Like I said, he got both his G2s are bladed. He's got good mass around his bases. I could barely put my hands around it. Got good floors, good mass all the way through. Just a great buck, man.
I think the keys to this hunt with Tim and his success, there's a lot of layers to this. This is basically a guy who's trying to do everything the best that he possibly can, from his, scent control all the way to his careful planning of a really excellent access on a piece of property. Next thing would be really understanding how the deer are using the property. They're on that ag and really working back into that timber and those tight ridges in the very back. And he's going to be there waiting for them. All of the effort that he goes to with his filming. I mean, all these things came together, and really it's just a lesson on what extra effort can provide. If you put the extra time and the extra effort in, you're going to have that success, and more power to him. It's really fantastic to see Tim have that kind of success. Another key to this hunt was Tim's careful use of the extinguisher to, at the right time, just after that fight, to coax that buck over, to trick that buck into thinking, you know, there's another buck over here, I might have to fight him too. And they're on their feet, they're really covering ground, they're susceptible to calling with a grunt call, they're susceptible to the black rack, and they're actively moving a tremendous amount. It's the time of year we wait for all season long, just to see those bucks on their feet, to see the bucks that, you know, never show themselves during daylight hours. They're walking around, walking through the timber, and they're callable. And Tim knew that and took advantage of it.